Hello, welcome to another video. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, so the day's finally here. The day that you all have been waiting for like 2 weeks. I think it's only been 2 weeks since you guys have really like started flooding this channel, which I'm very grateful for. So yes, today is the day that I'm finally VOD reviewing the Apex Vtuber tournament from Astel, from HoloStars' point of view. I know a lot of you guys have requested Astel, and I'm probably butchering his name, but you guys wanted him, so I got you. Very highly requested. And yeah, like I've said before in comments and in previous videos, I think I'm not exactly sure that I'm super qualified to be commentating on this by myself, because tournament/scrim playstyle is actually very different from ranked playstyle. So I don't have that much experience. I have a little bit. So I've enlisted the help of my friend Bevo to come and help me. Now Bevo has more competitive experience and is just all around, you know, very knowledgeable about the game, and he speaks in a way that's very easy to understand, I think, and he explains things very well. It's very easy to listen to him and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I understand that, right? So I'm bringing him on to help me out here, and I think you guys are really gonna like his explanations and really like to hear his insight. He kind of like takes over a little bit, but that's just because he knows more than me. I actually learn a decent amount by commentating over this with him. I learned some things that I didn't know, so like I think this is a good idea on my part, I hope, to bring him on and help me, right? So just so we could bring a better analysis and breakdown of the plays that you are seeing in this VOD, we actually watched this last night and took some notes because we really wanted to bring you guys some educational content, right? So it actually took us a little bit, but we still tried to more or less commentate this from a point-by-point basis, right? So without using the hindsight knowledge that we have, just because I think it's easier for us to break down what's happening if we've already kind of seen it, you know. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of that format, and if you like it, then maybe I'll do it more. So I'm just gonna wrap up the intro really fast, because as you can see, it's a very long video. You know, I cut 20 minutes off of the footage, right? 20 minutes. It's a long time, right? So, you know, so just chillax and grab a bag of popcorn, lay back in your chair, lay in your bed, sit in your chair, sit on the floor, be in a fetal position and cry while watching this if you want to, but as long as you're comfortable. You know, it's gonna be a long one, and I really appreciate it if you watch to the end, because it helps me out a lot. It took actually quite a while to scrub through this and decide what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep. I really hope you guys learned something. I stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at noon Central Standard Time. So if you want to come check me out on there, check me out on Twitter, and check Bevo out on everything, you know, all of his stuff will also be in the description down below. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you at the end, and another potential non-VTuber Apex video coming out soon. So I'm excited to hear what you guys think about that. All right, guys, so I'm here with my friend, my onesie wearing demon, Bevo.
I don't know. Friend's a little much, but yeah, I mean, I'm here, so whatever.
So as I explained in the intro of this video, Bevo has a lot more competitive scrim and tournament experiences. So he's here to provide insight and things that I normally wouldn't catch.
Yeah, I've scrimmed for like, how many months did I scrim for? A couple? Because I did like the first couple ALGSs, and then I missed a couple, and then I did like all of summer circuit. So I'd say I have at least like 4 to 5 months of like scrim/tournament experience,
which is way more than like the 3 weeks that I had. Like I said, I'm more of a rank person.
You just solo queue like a psychopath.
Yeah,
like
solo queuing is for people who just don't care about their mental health. Just don't care.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I don't do that shit. I've
already lost my mind. It's whatever. I don't need mine. Who needs mine? Irrelevant.
You've already parted with it. You're like, well-being, brain cells. I don't get that shit out of here.
Unnecessary. All right, guys. So as I said in the intro, we have seen this before. We're gonna commentate acting like we don't have the hindsight knowledge that we do, because we do want to do
shit.
Yeah, because we do want to do this moment by moment, you know, sort of like in real time. We actually wrote down a lot of our first impressions. That way we could, you know, accurately tell you guys what we first thought. But it's just the fact that it's a tournament makes it a little bit different from a regular ranked VOD.
Yeah, the play is a lot different if anyone's never watched a tournament. Yeah. Tournaments play vastly different than ranked, because teams are actually caring about their placement, and they're valuing their lives much more than just like kills. You'll see like in high level tournaments, you'll see it'll be like zone 4 and there's still like 18 teams up, and end zones are actually just crazy chaos.
Yeah, so we worked together last night to kind of break this down. That way we can provide you with the best breakdown.
Well, I mean, like
as best as we can
get it.
Yeah. All right.
Unnecessary.
So we're just gonna go ahead and get started with this this review.
So right off the bat, they're going solar array.
For those of you who have been like watching the scrims on their streams and watching the tournament, usually what happens at a tournament, I don't know if this 100% if this is what's happening, but usually what happens is that people like pick a spot beforehand and they'll land that spot every single time. And so assuming that these are the same teams that scrim, they should have already had their spot picked out, you know, before this tournament, right? So
the importance of like landing the same spot consistently in the tournament is literally just all about consistency. It's like you land there over and over and over, so you have set loot paths and efficiency, and you know how to loot there and what your rotations are and whatnot, and just to minimize RNG as much as possible, because BRs are just very RNG heavy, and the more you can do to minimize that, you have of like winning. We can also probably talk about their composition.
Yeah. So
Gibby Wraith,
running a Gibby Wraith Bloodhound, pretty meta. Although Caustic's, I would say, even becoming even more meta right now. Caustic's nasty right now. Don't sleep on a Caustic.
I hate him so much. But yeah, no, I mean, right now they're just looting. They're just, no one contested them, so they're just kind of hanging out. For the longest time, the meta was super camp heavy. It was like the primary comp that you would see. There's two basically. It was Wraith, Pathfinder, and Watson, or Wraith, Gibby, and Watson. Were like basically pretty much the only thing you would see in high level play. Wraith still, I'm pretty sure, has like basically an 100% pick rate, because her portal allows not free but very safe rotations, and as long as it exists, like she'll always be a very much must pick. And then with Gibby's really strong because he allows you to kind of play. You don't have to focus rotations as much. You can play on the edge of the ring more and just kind of go slow and take your time, just because of dome and being able to like make your own position when you need it.
Yeah, that's really big about Gibby's kit, is being able to form cover wherever you need it.
Exactly. As long with his ult too, like it allows you to creep up on a team, push them out of their position, and then bubble up and like go take their spot, kind of shit.
Yeah, Gibby has been just a strong character ever since you were able to res in his dome.
Yeah, ever since all of his buffs that he got. But yeah, the main one, like you said, the 20% faster res when you're resing someone in his bubble is quite good. And I'm just really strong because of information. The scan gives you information 74 meters in front of you, which is like.
Although for tournaments, I think crypto is better. For becoming.
Yeah, better. I don't know how what exactly the meta breakdown is, but I know it's like a Gibby Wraith, and then either like Crypto Bloodhound, and some people are starting to run Caustic.
Yeah, so it looks like they have middle circle. All right, so he pulled up his map. Looks like he's got middle circle. It looks like it's going to pull downward. That was one of our first impressions. It looks like they have right in the middle of circle, which is good for placement because they don't really have to move as much anymore. It looks like it's going to pull either Hammond Labs, Bonsai, potentially southwest of Grow Towers, although I highly doubt it. You don't normally see rings pulling to areas that have a lot of unplayable ground. So you kind of get a feel that it's very likely going to pull to either Hammond, or Bonsai, but Bonsai has the most playable ground, so it looks like it's probably going to be Bonsai. Not using the power of hindsight. That's just something we guessed, last
Yeah, and you can, so like, as you become more familiar with zones in the game, it becomes easier to read. But as like a general like rule of thumb, you can see this zone, you can see kind of how it's pulled really south, and like how like the edge of this like the bottom edge of the zone is pretty much as south as it can go. And that's a pretty clear indicator, like just basic starting out learning zones. You can kind of go off of like, oh, which way did it pull? Okay, it's probably gonna go there. And then the more you actually like start paying attention, you'll learn like, oh, I've seen this zone before, it's gonna go here, kind of. But like as a general rule of thumb, you can kind of just base on like whichever direction it pulled, it's more likely to pull there. It's not like, sometimes it's wacky pulls that you're never gonna expect, but typically you're safe doing that, something like that.
It's rare that it's not the case, but it happens.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, they got pretty much gifted zone here.
Yeah,
they're just vibing.
I can't really tell who the IGL is. I'm assuming it's Wraith because Wraith is usually the IGL.
But an IGL like in-game leader.
In-game
leader.
Like,
it's like basically like the captain for like a sports team.
Usually you find that the Wraith is IGL just because the Wraith is always the one that has the most information usually. So, and normally you would want the person with the most information being the one that's calling the shots, right? But I think it actually might not be the Wraith in this situation. But normally that's who it would be.
If I knew Japanese, I would be able to tell you, but I cannot tell you. The reason why Wraith is typically IGL is because of her her Q, where she's able to like go into the phase dimension or whatever. That allows her to be up front and kind of further away from the team when rotating. To then, if she gets into trouble, she can just hit Q and get back to her team for free without like very low risk.
At this point, they don't really need to like go anywhere. If they want placement, they can just hold. I think the meta has become a little bit more aggressive, so kill points are worth more. So going for kills isn't exactly a bad idea anymore.
Yeah,
not like it used to be back in the day.
Yeah, like before when it was like I was saying, like there's like Watson was very meta. It was very defensive. People just placement meant pretty much everything. People would just rotate really early, get placement, hold that, and just kind of vibe for the rest of the game with just getting kills when they can, like free kills.
Yeah, I definitely think meta-wise that it's currently better right now, or more entertaining.
Yeah, it's definitely more entertaining for like a viewer's perspective. I'd agree. It's not just teams camping. So it looks like they hear shots.
Yeah,
there's
shots
like
coming up from a height, and then another more shots at the bottom building right where their ping is.
It looks like I think they're gonna. They look like they might be trying to creep up to take out the high ground team potentially, which would make sense because if they go try to attack the bottom ground team, then they're fighting that team and they're getting shot from up top, like shot down from the top high ground. Whereas this way they can come and try to flank around the high ground team, take them out, and then they have high ground over the team at the bottom, which is like even more capable. Right. Cue like the Pink Panther theme song here as they just like slowly creep
Don't sing
up.
it, I'm gonna get claimed.
I know. I was thinking about humming it, and it's like the DMCA hammer just.
Oh, I'm gonna get claimed. Please don't.
Yes.
I see a team. Looks like there's a team firing at that building all the way back there. Back there.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Run away. Yeah, with that team has high ground on them, and so there isn't really a place for them to hide while they pick at the guys below, so they're kind of forced to like back off.
They're funny. That's funny. They just like run away and scream. These guys are just vibing. They're having a good time.
We assume that's why they backed off. We don't know for sure, but that's our assumption.
Yeah. But I mean, it makes sense. I think they just called out crypto. Yeah, you just heard a crypto alt go off. But yeah, they just backed up because they knew this ground was still free, and they're just holding a position.
This building is definitely not worth giving up, like at all.
Yeah, no,
it's
this
so
is a
big.
really
It's
strong
so
position.
center circle.
And it has really good high ground options. Like they can just sit here and like do what they're doing right now, just beam teams for free as they rotate out.
So I think since we know it's probably going to pull down based off of like how we read zones, right? I think it's a good chance that most of the teams are going to be funneling through this choke, or a good amount of them will probably be funneling through this choke just to go down south to bonsai, basically. As the circle rings close, the more south it's going to get. And this is like one of 2 points that every team from the northeast side can go. So
yeah,
expect
100%. A lot of yeah, see that was the team that they ran away from before. They're just getting charged rifled in the back. But no, a lot of maps, Respawn really likes to make heavy funnels and choke points. And this map is no exception. And so everyone, will just be funneling from the north just into here. So it's really important that they hold the ground and they're not like out looking for kills, because it's a pretty high chance that they get third partied.
Yeah, any fight right now is a third party immediately.
100%.
Especially in the solar array, because that's where everybody's going to be going
for sure. Yeah, and so see, they're constantly checking angles. It makes more sense in a tournament like this for everyone to kind of be like holding a different angle instead of just they're all like constantly moving around, floating around. They're still keeping their eyes up. It looks like they spotted a team there.
Team in the building ish. Inside.
So this is where Bloodhound is really strong, because if you're unsure of a team being there, all he has to do is just press Q, and the scan comes, and you now know if there's a team there or not. The information that Bloodhound can gather so easily is just complete. I think a lot of people underrate and undervalue how strong the just information is. But yeah.
Are they pushing a team? Yeah, it looks like they're pushing a team.
I don't. Okay, it looks like there's a team below them.
I don't know if this is worth giving up their building for.
Yeah, so
because that building is huge.
Doing this, like the team that was behind them can just shoot them in the back and third them, or just take their spot. Okay, so they're falling back.
It's not and somebody's dead.
And so, yeah, it looks like a team literally just they saw that and they tried to take their spot. That is a perfect example of why, like, when you have a strong position, you don't want to give it up, because teams will constantly be looking at your position, looking to see if you're about to leave, and ready to just take your spot the second they leave. I think a team... Yeah, okay, so a team, it looks like a team rolled up behind them, which could have been rather why the team, when they tried to take like Astel's building, like their building, why they fell back, because they knew if they take that fight, they're instantly going to get thirded from that team, and so they want to go try to pull back. I don't know, but yeah, they're vibing, they're fighting over there. These guys, yeah, they're still chilling in this building. Like, this building is such a strong position, because if anyone tries to push up from this building, there's so much space around and so many angles, other people, like, you see teams just keep coming in, that a team that tries to push them is going to get shot in the back from another team rotating in. So all they have to do is just establish presence and pressure any team that rolls up and they're chilling.
So they see Circle pulling down even more. Definitely Bonsai at this point. This is where you can just completely be like, yeah, it's Bonsai, right? Or at least in that area.
Yeah.
At this point, I feel like establishing a position in Bonsai wouldn't be the worst idea.
I don't know if you necessarily need to rotate yet, though, because, like, Gibby teams want to play edge. You love playing edge. You never want to necessarily put yourself in the middle, and especially because they know teams are around them, and like the edge of the zone isn't that far away from them, so they definitely have a lot of chance to, like, gatekeep or, like, get teams that are funneling in late.
See, I didn't know that. That's why he's here.
I've been punished before in tournaments trying to play a Gibby comp more, I guess, center zone. Well, no, like trying to get trying to push more hard for like a strong position. And it often doesn't work out that well, because Gibby's strength, like, you play edge so that you can take straight like 3v3s on edge and win those, and then just slowly creep in edge, like zone after zone, is what makes, like, playing him so he like Dome and his kit give you such a big advantage against a team that doesn't have a Gibby in a 3v3 fight. So
I think I would like to see the Bloodhound scanning a bit more, like spam scanning.
100%.
I feel like Bloodhound isn't scanning enough. Like, scan that building.
I mean, sure.
Constantly scan that building. Especially because Bloodhound scanning kind of like establishes presence that says, like, we are here. You cannot mess with us.
I think a lot of people, like, especially I see it in ranked, like, are like scared to show presence because they're like, oh, if people know we're here, we're gonna get killed. But, like, it's a lot different in a tournament. You want people to know you're there, because when people know you're there, they're not gonna push you. And if they don't know you're there, and they just are, like, walking and end up stumbling into you, like, in an awkward, like, and then it's an awkward fight, then you just get third partied, because then now you're in this weird awkward fight, and then other team's gonna be like, oh, they're fighting, I'm gonna come over here. Whereas you've established presence, people are gonna be like, are not gonna want to fight you. You're basically, what you want to do is you want to be like a peacock and, like, show your feathers and be big scary team. You gotta posture up like a peacock. It's kind of contradictory, and it's not very intuitive, but it is really all about, like, you want to let people know you're there so that they don't accidentally come and, like, just bump into you.
Yeah, because even though placement isn't as important as it used to be, it's still, like, very important, and you don't want to die.
100%. 100%. All right, looks like they're rotating too. We'll come back to that later. So I think they finally haven't gotten zone. This is the first zone where they're not center, so they're choosing to rotate out.
Back here, there's an enemy ping, an enemy mark right where they are. Like he said, Gibby is, as I learned, Gibby plays edge a lot. So yeah, so it looks like they're gonna come up here and probably gatekeep outside of circle, because this circle is probably gonna do a lot of damage.
100%, yeah, because we saw that team rotate out earlier. I think we saw, like, a Gibby fight or like an ult over there earlier. So we know there's teams over there, and this is really smart to posture up. They can just hold, especially too, because the choke that they're trying to go towards is literally a ramp up to them. Like, they just hold this height, And they'll get
This
free
only works if
kills.
there's nobody on that wall because they just pinged it earlier.
Yeah,
Somebody's on that
yeah.
wall or brown, basically.
Or any team like kind of behind them towards that area, towards like Bonsai. But yeah, so they're gonna posture up here, hold this height, and cancel any team that tries to rotate up here, and that's basically free KP.
Yeah, there's literally no way they can go around outside a circle, but once the ring closes, it's gonna do even more damage. There's literally no way for this team to move into circle. They can go back to solar array, but I'm pretty sure there's another team in there already. There's still there's still the other team, so they have two options. They go back to solar array, fight that team, which probably is going to be more beneficial for them, or they might have it might be an easier fight just because of the terrain, right? And go into circle from the north, or they literally have no choice but to go uphill. And look at this rock. This rock here is actually just so massive. Like, this is a crazy cover to have.
It's kind of gross. Like, you can just head glitch over anyone running up.
It's literally disgusting, especially with Gibby and the arm shield. Like, you're basically golden. If I were this team, I'd be like, if I had to choose between fighting Astel's team or fighting the team in solar array, I would pick solar array.
Yeah, no, this is a really gross like situation for a team coming up on them, because they basically just have to sit there and get shot at from high ground, and they can't do anything about it. There's not a lot of cover down there. Like, this is a pretty open lane, and they only have a minute right now until zone starts to close, so they like are definitely probably kind of scared as to what their rotate is right now.
This is a nightmare position to be in.
Yeah, it's really Astel's team plays this really well, I think, in terms of like they know that there's teams over here, and then once zone closes, they're in a really strong position too, because like the back,
look at this. Look, to get from this rock to where he is, zero cover, absolutely nothing. There's
he literally has to run at him.
Your best chance is maybe a wraith portal, but like that's probably not gonna work because they're just gonna full send on that wraith portal.
Wraith portal wouldn't necessarily be terrible, so that's why Gibby and Wraith work really well together. Because Gibby can, so Wraith slaps the portal down, and Gibby just comes through immediately and slaps a dome at the end of the portal. And now you have a position like where you wouldn't have had like anywhere to fight before.
But that's just assuming the portal reaches all the way to cover, which I doubt it.
No, true.
There's no way.
So, but yeah, so they get a free pick because that guy just literally had to walk into them.
If I was the team that Astel's team is shooting at, I'd be like, it's over. So it looks like Bloodhound pinged a team behind, which is good that he's holding a different angle, because you definitely don't want anybody running up.
I think it's the Wraith that's holding.
Oh, Wraith.
Because the Bloodhound's on his hip. But yeah. And it's important too that the Wraith, honestly, is like the Wraith is the one disconnected. Also, he's getting a free kill on this Gibby. Yeah, Gibby drops Stone because he's desperate. And he's dead.
He literally had to rotate out of circle. Would have died either way, probably.
But see that Wraith posturing up on that rock? She was holding their back the entire time, which is really important, because like if a team tried to push up on their back, because now they don't have anywhere to go. They're being like held out. There's not a ton of cover where they are, and it's important that it's the Wraith, because if she gets pressured, she can just Q back again and Q back to them. Looks like he's going to loot this box. I don't necessarily disagree with it. Alright, he picks up the R9, drops the Hemlock, because zone's starting to close, and he's thinking that there's going to be more close range fights, which is fair.
Close range fights. There's just always close range fights at the end.
And that's like an important note of like, always pick up weapons and set your loadout to what you think the zone's going to be. Whether it's going to be like a big open zone with like long range, you want to run snipers, or it's going to start to get closer and you want to run like
this definitely also applies to ranked and pubs, just as much as
to literally anything is set yourself up in like how you think the zone's going to end, or like the play style that you think you're going to have to end up playing.
Yeah, because like, based off the information we have now, without seeing zone close, just based off of this information, you know, we already know where it's going to go. But like, if we were watching this for the first time again, you know, we would assume that it's going to close on these buildings, right? And there's almost no reason to have a scout or anything like that when you're 100%. Fighting on these buildings. Everything's
going to be a close quarter fight, especially too because it's like these buildings where there's a ton of possibility for teams to play, and a lot of teams can like be really close to each other, densely populated. It's going to be even closer range like fights. Like when the zone is a lot more densely populated, the fights are going to play out really close quarters, as opposed to like a zone where it's big open area and not a lot of teams can fit in that area, and there's only ends up being like a couple. It's just important to kind of think about.
1000%.
It looks like Let's see where zone is. Ooh.
うわ、エリア
Yeah, he doesn't like that either.
That's a nasty zone.
これね、後追いしなきゃいけな
Really
いんだよね。
unfortunate.
Yeah,
Their
that's really
rotation
aggressive.
here, they're just like they're really only two major routes that they can take down here and play under, or they have to rotate all the way, you know, across the top, across the north side of circle, right, to come in on the northeast side. The thing is that because the circle is closing, you know, so southeast, I think a lot of teams, there's still 13 teams left, right? And so I think a decent amount of teams are going to be north, and so going from the north is probably means that you're going to be fighting a decent amount of teams.
Yeah, because it goes back to like what we talked about earlier of like how this zone from the beginning has been pulling south, and so majority of the teams coming into it are going to be coming from the north. So it makes a lot of sense that like there would still be a decent amount of teams up in the north side,
right,
where they would like rotate through there if they chose to do that. Whereas like from going off of like the information we kind of have, south seems like a safer option because they could just ride the edge down and kind of rotate up and just hang out there, especially when they have portal and they're giving the dome, like they can get through that kind of more densely packed area. However, it looks like
however, is that what they do?
It looks like they're choosing to go the north side.
He's acting, but we've seen this already. But like I said, we're trying to commentate this from what a lot of our first impressions were.
Yeah, so right off the bat, it looks like they run into a team. Alright, it's just a Mirage-ul. Like that Gibby is going off down there.
Mirage-ul tournaments allow. Listen, if you're playing for Siri, for realsies, ride or die, Mirage and Attorney, I don't know. Don't pick Mirage.
Don't run him, Mirage.
Mirage brings literally almost
He's a
nothing
meme
to your
pick. He really doesn't provide any utility for a team. He's a very like his kit helps him, and that's about it. Like now, at least with the way with this rotate, they can kind of sit here and hold these teams out because they're gonna start to like
this
need
high
to
ground's
rotate. So
definitely big.
and
PK on Gibby's
package
fat.
for free. Yeah, free PK is always good, especially like you said on Gibby. It's really strong.
Shotgun Gibby in general is just the move. So I like where they're holding. I like how they're not pushing down this little area right underneath that still has height in the enemy team, but in order to get back to the high ground that they're currently at, there is like no cover, so it's kind of risky.
Yeah, I agree. And it looks like so he's pinging back there because if a team rolls up on them, like from that angle, they're in a really bad position. So they need to heavily watch that because that's for sure like their biggest threat. Yeah, they see a bunch of fighting going on over there. Looks like he's gonna go throw ult.
In theory, that's fat ult.
He's being, yeah. I think that's fine. They can try to get some free RP here, or 3 KP shit. This is smart. I agree with the rotate. There's no reason to just sit there and take that fight. If you sit there and take that fight, zone comes up on you. The team that was down below comes up on you. And you're just in a really bad position.
Yeah, portaling across is a good idea because if they all move across, right? And say they get shot at, Gibby throws dome, and once your Gibby throws a dome, you are at a huge disadvantage. Okay, you need to do everything in your power to stall until your Gibby gets that dome back, right? So
yeah, 100%.
This portal is purely to not waste the dome, which is very smart because currently I feel like a Gibby dome is more important than a Wraith portal half the time.
I would probably agree with that, and that like you only want to use dome if you absolutely have to because of just how powerful it is and how it can literally win a fight if you use it right.
Yeah.
Whereas like a portal you don't really use in a fight, and it's like there's not really going to be a position here like that is this obvious to use a portal because this is literally just an open space. The only cover there is that tree right in front of that like pink tree. Other than that, they have nothing to play. So it's like I 100% agree to just portal across.
To avoid wasting dome as much as you can. Like there are some things that you want to spam. Bloodhound scan is one of those things. But Gibby's dome
there's no reason to hold on to it.
Is not one of those things, right? In like a Gibby fight, like in a team fight with 2 Gibbies, whoever throws that dome second is the winner.
Whoever throws it second, you say whoever throws second.
Yeah. Whoever throws it first loses.
Yeah, exactly.
What I should have said.
So it looks like there's a team inside, which I think that's a pretty odd. Like you would not be surprised if there's a team just vibing in here.
When the whole circle was here, it's like almost a guarantee that there would be a team in like every building.
And of course, it's Caustic.
Of course, Caustic. Yeah. If you're running a Caustic team, you get in a building, okay?
Yeah.
you think,
You want
okay,
to find.
you look at your rotations, your rotation option, you're like, okay, how can I get into a building? Every other team, you're chilling. But Caustic team, if you're a Caustic team and you are not in a building, you're throwing.
Yeah, so that's like
Okay.
where the strength of like Gibby versus Caustic is. Gibby can play out in the open and kind of make any position, just play off of whatever and like make his own cover and all that shit. Whereas Caustic like very much needs to, a Caustic team needs to focus on rotations a lot more than a Gibby team, because they're like, how well they do depends on whether they're able to find a good position and like hunker down for a while and throw up traps and like just sit there and
Caustic
vibe.
out in the open, you can like shoot his barrels or throw his ult on your team for visual cover, but the Caustic is the only person who can see throughout that smoke, right? So Caustic playing out in the open comes at a cost to your team, and this is just assuming that enemies don't have digi threats, and then you're just bound.
Yeah, his kit is built around like holding a building, holding close quarters. And if you don't have that, he's kind of just a big body.
Big target.
They throw him the door.
Throw him the door to get that smoke out. Probably a good idea, honestly. Very good idea.
It's interesting. They don't necessarily need to waste a therm there. Grenades, I think, are very underutilized. Grenades are a lot more important, I think, than most people realize. A player who knows how to throw nades well versus someone who doesn't, instantly that's just like a huge jump, and it's not even that hard. Like just running a couple nades and saving them for when they're necessary can change a fight drastically. Versus I see most people, the most common thing I see is a fight starts and a team will just open it up with nades. They'll just throw every nade in their inventory at the team, and then they throw all of them, and then they have nothing. They have no utility, anything. Whereas like if you just just have one nade, like one like arc star or like a frag or something, and you're in a fight, say you crack, like you knock someone's armor off, and then they're gonna sit there, they're gonna fall back, and they're gonna start taking like a shield battery, right? You just throw a nade right next to them, like behind cover, and now they can't get that heal off because they have to run away from that nade, and it changes the fight drastically. Like
it's I would say nades are more like repositioning tools than actual damage inducers.
Yeah, you want to use them as like a area denial more than actually like you don't necessarily throw it banking on it doing damage. You use it as to like flush people out of cover, but then it forces them to like, if they don't want to leave that cover, well then you're doing good damage. So yeah.
I also want to mention like here, I feel like a bad Gibby would have thrown dome.
Yeah, someone could have panicked and just thrown dome.
Yeah, I feel like for a lot of people, they would instinctively have thrown dome as soon as they got hit by this. And I feel like it takes a lot more willpower than people realize to not throw dome in this situation. Especially when you're new to Gibby.
Yeah, it's interesting too though that he throws the arc and then gets scared by the nade and ends up jumping into his arc. They're just screaming. I'm assuming they're calming right now about rotating. If you look at zone, like they have to go right now. They're pushing up, and yep, there's a team in that corner. I'm not too surprised by that. And now another team rolled up on them, yeah. And that team in the corner is not having a good day.
Yeah.
Put some shots on the Wraith.
He's beaming
He's
now.
gonna clean her up. Yeah. Bloodhound.
That's her,
And now
no!
this team's being beamed by that Caustic team in the building too. They had the best rotate, 100% there. Every other team in front of them just got pinched and like thirded, and they just got to roll up behind everyone for free.
Yeah, they played that very well.
And now they also just have a ton of resources. They have the death boxes here, they have a ton of heals, they can just poke.
I got to turn the volume down because he's screaming so loudly.
Yeah. So the ridge, that high, like that big wall right there, you can see there's a person
the
up there.
absolute best position to be in right now.
100%. That team is in easily the strongest position of the zone. No one can climb up there because if any team tries to go make a move, the other 4 teams that are up are just going to beam them. So they can just sit on the wall forever and they're chilling. And so he starts to ping that because if they look over right here,
you don't want to mess
yeah, they don't want to mess with them, because if they mess with them, then the other team's like, oh, we can kill this team for free. And if they just look over on this wall right here into their like staircase, they have literally nowhere to go. They can go around the corner, but then they're in a really bad spot. They're very like pinched and stuck. So it's important. I think the Wraith goes and pisses them off though.
Yeah, you don't want to grab their attention right now. You don't want them looking over that right there. That's a bad. You don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be invisible in that
ヘイト管
team.
理してこうヘイト管理してこうマスクあるみんなマスクある
I would still though argue that right now
朝も大丈夫
it's the most important now than ever that Bloodhound's scanning because the zone's close enough. Or like
Maybe not
the zone's
super
small
invisible.
enough.
あのねこの上にいるこの上にいる
Yeah, but I think the zone's small enough where like you'll be able to ping every single
これ
person
必ず
and
借りたい
have
けど
knowledge and know
ただ
where every
こう
single team is.
ただこう来てほしいこう来
But
て
yeah,
ほ
it
しい
looks like there's a team.
Scan up,
Directly
scan up,
above
scan
them.
up, scan up, scan up, scan up.
こう来てほしいまずここ来てほしい
I'm not sure if they heard them shoot or if they're just going off of intuition. But this is another situation where if Bloodhound just does a quick little scan,
絶対壊す
then we
三人で絶対
know
壊す
that they're there.
了解
That's just all it is a quick little press of Q, and now you have a ton of knowledge that you wouldn't have had before. So just another example of why like holding on to scan is there's no reason to hold on to it.
ほぼ勝ち
If you just use it
だー俺ね
off of cooldown every
エネ
single
オがね
time,
合わせて30、40
you'll be doing better than just holding on to it. I think they got scanned by a crypto drone, which is interesting. I don't know where that crypto team is. So it looks like so there's that team above them. I think there's that caustic team somewhere to the right, and then the other third team is the team up on the wall. So
目の前のバトル
they're in kind of a
大
weird
丈夫も
spot
うアルさんは強いお前は
because
強
they
い
can't really like
お前は1ヶ月
rotate
頑張っ
without
た1ヶ月
fighting.
頑張った
So they're getting ready because they know that that team's gonna jump down.
ゆっくり落ち着い
That
て
other team has nowhere else to go
降りて
except for
き
just to
た
jump down.
降りてきた
Yep, here they
すぐ
come.
降りてきた
So they dome up.
冷静に行こう
こんな状
He's
況
spot on scans. That's good. They know that's just a duo. No, it's a three. Never mind.
ウルト炊きますこれ僕のウルトです
Hi.
前ドーム炊きます前ドームこっち来て
The ult.
はーいついてきま
It's
す
not that I hate the ult
食らってる食らってる左
It's
奥で
that
食らって
he
る
had
左
to
奥で
use
木下
bubble
木下木下
because he
One
threw his
down,
ult
one
too
down,
close
one
to
down.
himself.
バンバン
And bubble here in this end zone in this fight is gonna be so important.
これ敵ウルト
Yeah, like they just got
敵ウル
ulted
で
on.
きるとね
He doesn't have dome,
右来
so
て右
he's
来て
in a
右
really
来て
shit
右来て
spot.
握ってるはい
And now they ran into yeah. So just because he didn't use it. Yeah, and then they get ulted on by Cubs.
左左
Sheesh. All of this could have been avoided if he just
あごめんガスでダウン
used
した
ult in a better spot,
任せる
so he didn't have to use his dome.
こっちから見えないね俺めちゃくちゃ回復とか持ってるから
Okay, so he's gonna go down. So just the
これ
right
ですぐ
now.
ねこの
Yeah,
真上に
definitely recommend taking cover first, healing a little bit before you shoot
落ち
that
着い
raid.
て
So he.
Prioritize survival first, and then you gank your enemy later.
All right, I forget. I don't care. We'll come back to it later.
大丈夫
It's not working.
いけるいけるいけるいける
Just let
いけ
it play.
るよ冷静にね
虚空でもいいよ虚空でもいい
It
よ
sucks that we
まだね
can't see what's going on, but I think it looks like the Wraith is playing it pretty well.
いいマッ
She's
シフ
just
ラ
going up in there.
It's pure
fighting,
mechanical skill,
staying
baby.
alive. Yeah.
冷静にね
And yeah, it looks like the team from high ground is just spamming it. Yep, there's the horizon. They've just been sitting there the entire time. They just jump down.
Yeah, there is no way the team high ground.
Yeah,
頑張
there's-
って頑張って頑張って頑張って頑張って
that's still a good placement. Second with let's see
Yeah.
how many kills they got. Wait, here let's just go ahead and go to scoreboard. So they were so they had 11. 11 with second is really solid. And also if you look at the scoreboard,
Really
like
solid.
first also got 11, but then pretty much no other team in the lobby got a ton of kills because there's a
So-
lot to break down.
When we were watching this yesterday, we kind of came to the consensus. This is with the power of hindsight, right? We kind of came to the consensus that Astel throwing his ult so close, which forced him to use his bubble, or he could have just retreated to this corner.
So what happened is he panicked. He panic ulted. He sees this Gibby dome in front of him, and I'm pretty sure his instinct was just to throw ult at the dome. But I don't think he necessarily thought about like what it was gonna do for him, and that it was gonna force him to use bubble because they don't have any room to back up because zone's coming on their ass. And on top of that, if he just holds ult and just say like uses it later down the line, like after they went up the staircase and just threw it like at the wall, like at the center of zone where everyone was collapsing there with that like Wraith at the end. If he just waited, have like just a few more seconds to walk up the staircase and throw it over there, that would have been game changing. That would have been like it would have caused a ton of chaos for every other team. It could have even forced the team off high ground on the wall to jump down. But the fact that he like has to waste dome here, and because he wasted ult, like even if the ult just didn't, just say he like threw the ult somewhere that didn't have any impact, the fact that it made him throw dome out is just a huge detriment in itself. Like if he still had dome in any other position, if he holds dome and doesn't use it here, they never have to rotate to the right into the caustic gas, and Bloodhound never goes down. They just chill here on the left. Like they have a ton of ground to play. They can just sit here.
As he moves up, they get ulted. He could have just used his dome then to survive the ult rather than get rolled by the Costa gas.
これ
Exactly.
できるとできるとできると。
できるとね。
右来て右来て右来て右来て。
And I think he even too like he gets dome again later. But yeah, so like because he used bubble when he shouldn't have, they had to move into Costa gas. They get ulted on and they're just having a really shit time. And Bloodhound goes down.
あ、ごめん、ガスでダウンした。
And now, so Gibby gets dome right now. He just got dome. He should be using this. He should be throwing this down. This is another thing. Is like he messes his first bubble up, but he has a second chance now. I agree with the bat, but right now, like he could be doming and they could just be vibing, or maybe not doming now, but like he has the options. And instead, what he does is he sees a target right here at the tree, and his first instinct is just to try to beam.
Yeah, he should kind of be
And
doing
then-
what this Wraith is doing. Just chilling.
Exactly. Because what happens is he gets beamed from the kid, not on the tree, but his teammate. And then he also is just getting just lit up from the right. He's just getting all the arrows. He's being shot from both teams right now. He's just being focus fired. And so right now, it's like he took a ton of damage, but he's still okay. He can stay alive. His Wraith can cover him. But then he peeks it again and goes down. If he didn't peek that again, if he didn't repeak that, he's up. And then they have two up.
This
and they can potentially
this
win.
Wraith right here that you're targeting is not paying attention to you, right? She's not focused on you. You are not even the fourth thing on her mind right now. So it's kind of unnecessary to be shooting this Wraith.
I agree. There are 3 other teams up, and you guys have the opportunity to chill and not do anything, and that is so big. You can literally let the other teams fight, kill each other, windle each other down till there's just like one team left, and then you just jump in and you kill them.
Yeah, you
But
heal,
instead
then you
you-
have Wraith and Gibby at full health, right? And at that fight there was that Horizon and Wraith fighting Astel's Wraith, so it turns from a 1v2 to a 2v2. But I think overall we've very much established that this team is very good at the game.
Yeah, no, that like
Very good.
that's really the only mistake that they made.
Yeah, it's
Was the mistake, the bubble at the end.
we definitely can't give like shit for the end game, just because like there's just so much happening and it's just really hard to
Game's
play
so
out.
fucking hard.
It's
End
so
game's
hard to play the end game perfectly. Like I am positive that if this was me, I would have played this worse. 1,000%.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree that endgame is the hardest aspect of this game because there are so many things going on all at once.
Especially with Caustic being more meta now. It's just so hard to know what to do in these endgame circles because there's just so much information you have to take in, and it's just it's really hard. So like they played it really well.
From my experience going into like an endgame circle like that, once the zone starts to like you have a plan, but once the zone starts to close and the fight starts to happen, everything is chaos and your comms are just screaming like there's people here, there's this person's one that like it's chaos. It's so hard to like be controlled and organized.
Especially when you're in the
like
actual tournament and it's like one of the last games, like
Exactly.
your heartbeat's racing, right? You're shaking, you're panicking, like completely understandable. Like this is a lot of pressure to be in right now.
Yeah,
A
100%.
lot. And so, of course there are things that they could have done better to avoid it, but like we can't just be like, well, why didn't you do this? Duh. It's so obvious, right? Because we have the power,
Yeah.
we have the calm and collectiveness of just like sitting here watching and not actually being in it. So we're not experiencing all
Yeah,
the
we have
emotions.
hindsight. We like they don't. It's so much harder to. It's like it looks really obvious watching. You're like, duh, they should have done this, but no,
It's difficult.
It is so much more than that. If anyone ever like anyone with any sort of like comp experience would know like how much more goes into it than just like a regular like a game of like just pubs or like ranked. But no,
I
they
can
did-
say
they
for
did really
sure
well.
they played this better than I would have.
And I don't know how they did in the tournament, but that was a solid game that gets
Yeah.
you a lot of points.
I mean,
the only
based
team
off
that got
of
more
this,
points than you is the first place team, which
Oh, yeah.
is
based off of
Yeah.
this game alone, I would not be surprised if they won the tournament.
yeah. I would assume that they probably placed at least like top 3
Yeah,
if they
I
were, like,
have
playing,
no
if
idea
they
if they
played
won
with
or
at
not.
least any bit of consistency of like this game.
Would not be surprised if they won.
And then that's it. Like
Just
everything
that,
else was
just
pretty.
that one Gibby throw and then Bloodhound never scanning.
Yeah, that
not
is like
never,
definitely could have
but, like,
scanned more. No,
not
I
as
agree
much
that
as
there
would've
would
liked.
there could have been a lot more scans to give more information. That gives I give this 3 poggers out of 2 poggers.
All right, I appreciate you doing this. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'd be down to do something like this again if you wanted me back.
Yeah, so if you guys liked him, if you guys enjoyed his point of view, then we can definitely do more of these for, I guess, I don't know, for other videos, I guess. So just let me know what you guys think. If you
Oh
don't
my,
like
it's-
it, you don't have to be like super harsh, but you can just like be respectful about whether you liked it or not.
Tell me how awful I am.
Yeah.
I'm a glutton for pain.
And so I will link all of his socials in the description down below if you want to check him out. He's active on Twitter, so you can go follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, you can follow that. There's content there.
His Twitter is an interesting time. It's an interesting time.
It's something. I would classify it as something.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate you doing this. And
yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you guys. I'll see you at the end, but
bye.
He says bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I know I did. I think they are a very good team. I think they've overall played it very well. Definitely played it better than I would have. And they just did an overall really good job. I do plan on reviewing Astel again in like a ranked VOD review sometime, just because, you know, I'm assuming you guys also wanted to see that. So that's going to come soon. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday on Twitch, and all Bevo stuff will be in the description. And so, yeah, I'll see you whenever I see you. Bye.